Hey, one other thing, since these are castings, they're not exactly true, so watch the gap on the side there. So this is the other one that I worked on the other day. See that gap? These aren't, it's a casting that's, the exterior I guess really doesn't matter, but I guess it's good enough, as they say. Hey YouTube, so I'm back at the 59 Li. So today, I'm just working on the gear reduction wheels, taking them apart. I got the first one done, now I'm on the second. I learned some more about these, more than I did. Whenever you make mistakes and whenever you take stuff apart, you kind of figure things out and you learn. So I'm going to show you one of these gear reduction wheels taken apart and what I did to help disassemble it and what are some of the internals of it. All right, so getting these apart can be sometimes difficult if they've been old, if they haven't been taken care of and they're old and rusty. So this is one of mine. It was the one I showed in the last video. It came off, it came apart fine and everything was fine. And I had a question last time. This is what I said earlier when I'm learning stuff. I thought it was rubbing. I thought when I did this, it was rubbing and grinding. So that's why I was a little nervous about tightening this nut down. That's why I asked if there's a shim. So I looked at it, looked all the parts. It didn't show it. So what I did was and someone asked the question, is there an overlap? And I'll show you on these other pieces. But there is an overlap to prevent debris from getting in here. This isn't just an open crack here. But what it was is I had cleaned the upper surface. So what I had done is I'd cleaned this surface and I kept hearing the noise. So I'm like, oh man, it's got to be rubbing because it's touching. So then I learned it was actually debris on this overlap. So here's the overlap right here. Here's actually how much it, actually covers to prevent debris from getting in there. So I, basically brushed this pretty good and cleaned it up on the other one. And now, as you can hear, it's nowhere, you can hear it very lightly, but that's nothing compared to what it was. I thought it was really scraping before, and what it was is just, dirt and grime up in that lap joint there. So this one's all set. So this one, so what you have is, I don't know if you can see, there it is right there. You have a needle bearing right here. This one's in good shape. I've had others, my other tractor had one, and when I took it apart to take a look at it, it totally disintegrated. All the pins fell out, so I had to replace it. But this one's in good shape thankfully. So that one's there, and then on the back side you have, flip this over, you have the bearing right there as well. So that bearing goes on to, so you have, and here's the shaft. So this shorter section goes right in here like that. The needle bearing runs along this surface, and then the ball bearing is on this darker surface. It's getting all dirty because my hands are mucked up now, but which is fine. But I just wire brushed this, so this one's good to go again. So if I drop this in like this, there it is, all set. So what I do is all the grime, luckily all the debris and crap usually collects on this plate. So I usually scrape that plate out, and then because of the temperature a lot of times, and because the grease tends to flow when it's warm, it tends to collect down in this section or in other sections, so it tends to fall away from the gears itself. So what I do is I just go in there and scoop it out. I check it and look to see if there's any grass or anything or dirt, but it's in good shape. It's good enough for this. I'm not going to go, again, nuts about it. I probably use this tractor maybe 5 times a year, so even if there is a little bit of dirt in there, it's not going to kill it. But everything else is cleaned up. So that's it. So I'll basically just put the 2 nuts back on. They go on either side of this shaft, and then put it back together, and we should be good to go. So let me get it back together and we'll see how we're doing. Well, there it goes. Need to it's not going in, it's going in kind of too tight, which was the problem I had. I wire brushed this, but I gotta go in and take some emery cloth to this, so let me do that and I'll come back. So jobs like this, I usually take, you know, some of the 3M cloth, you know, jam it in the hole and then give it a good spin. This is a little tool I made a while ago. I use it for this type of job, and I also use it for rolling up, you know, the straps for cargo straps. So, dual purpose. All right, so I'm gonna put a little bit of grease on this. We'll try this again. There we go. There we go. Perfect. Well, I could use a little bit of cleaning still, but better than what it was. I could feel it just getting mucked up by some grease. So let me go in and clean that and clean that again and come back to it. All right. Basically, there was, I think this is it. Like right in this crack right here, like it just builds up crud and grease and dirt. So went in there with a screwdriver and a cloth and cleaned it out. So hopefully we should, technically or theoretically, shouldn't hear anything when I put it on now, if there's enough clearance. There we go. That's it. Got it. So now there's overlap there. It's clean. The overlap's clean and no grinding, and should be good. So now we just put the two nuts back on, one on this side and one on the other, and then we should be good to go. And then we'll put the outer hub plate on, which is, I'll show you in a second. Where is that? Okay, here's the outer plate. So it goes on the outside to protect the bearing. I forget what it's called. It might not be called a hub plate. I'll have to look it up. But basically, just this goes on right here. There's just 4 bolts. My other set that I worked on before, this was really rusted in here, and it was a real pain in the ass to get it out. Really difficult. These came out pretty good because they're, again, taken care of, and it was a little more grease in here that was preventing it from rusting up. But all right, let's get these bolts on and get it done. So let's get these bolts on. So these bolts are, just so if you're going to do this, these are 1 1/16 nuts. So you
have to use socket on one side and a wrench on the other. This is like, sure, not the nicest way to do this. Got stuck.
a little bit of grind fell down, but there we go. It's got a little bit of play in them. They need to tighten up. Just gotta move a little bit. The top is tight, so I gotta tighten the inside one. But there we go. So it floats a little bit. We'll have to check the other one. It's got no interference there. Let's check the other one. Yeah, this one moves too. Not as much though.